Do you wish you could totally redecorate and update your home, but you have little or no money to spend? Then this video is for you. For the past week, I've been transforming my home with some cozy updates and transitioning into the fall season. And today I'm excited to share 15 free and budget-friendly ways to refresh your space. So if you're ready to make your home feel fresh and new, let's get started.
The number one completely free thing you can do to refresh your home is to rearrange your furniture. Moving things around can help you discover new uses for your furniture. Have you ever noticed when you change one thing in a room, it often has a domino effect, triggering multiple changes, and before you know it, your space feels like a completely different room. I needed to find a new location for the display cabinet I made over in last week's video because unfortunately it was sticking too far into the walkway. The only other spot for it was behind the sofa. However, I needed to raise it up so the doors could swing open over the back cushions of the sofa. As a temporary fix, I used bed risers, but I eventually planned to replace the lower portion of the cabinet with something taller. Then I moved the black sofa table that was behind the sofa into the kitchen under the bulletin board. Even though I still loved the dresser I made over with William Morris wallpaper, I felt it looked out of place with the dark academia decor of the adjoining library. The sofa table is actually the bottom of an open china hutch that was handmade for me by a family member many years ago, so it has sentimental value. Rearranging furniture also prompts decluttering. This table doesn't hold as much as the dresser, so this was an opportunity to decide which items I wanted to keep and which ones I was ready to sell or donate. With the green display cabinet moved, I could bring back the smaller desk in that spot. Rearranging furniture also promotes deep cleaning. You might remember I bought this desk at an estate sale down the street a couple years ago. I removed the bottom shelf in the cabinet to create room for larger items. I also decided to switch out the end tables flanking the sofa. I tried out a few different options. I really like using an eclectic mix of tables in a room. Personally, I would never buy a matching set of tables. Changing the tables around prompted me to switch out the lamps, which I hadn't planned on doing. I really like them in these new spots. However, I don't like the tall lamp next to the faux tree. So I need to find a new spot for the tree. I decided to try it out on the opposite side of the blue chairs, and I ended up loving how it filled this space. But I would never have moved it here if I hadn't moved the lamps, and I wouldn't have moved the lamps if I hadn't switched out the end tables. I think Edgar likes all the changes too. Speaking of Edgar, he chewed up the round jute rug that had been under the blue chairs. So I put down another rug that I had just as a temporary measure, and it was way too small. So I finally went rug shopping for something larger. If a new rug isn't in your budget, oftentimes you can just switch around rugs you already own or find an inexpensive one on Facebook Marketplace. I've even bought like-new rugs at Goodwill. You know that I'm a huge fan of peel and stick wallpaper. I lined these bookshelves with some damask wallpaper a few years ago, and now I'm ready for a change. This is a very budget-friendly project with big impact. For small areas, you'll only need one roll of wallpaper, which you can often find for under $20. I chose a solid pale green paper because I've really been wanting to add more green to my family room. First, I cut all my strips of paper using the old wallpaper as a guide. Then I sprayed the back wall with Easy Hang spray, which does in fact make it easy to hang, peel, and stick paper because it gives you time to adjust and readjust the paper, and it greatly reduces the chance of wrinkles or air bubbles. Just use a plastic scraper to smooth out the paper in place, and then cut off any extra paper along the edges with a utility knife. When hanging the second piece, focus on lining up the seams and the pattern if you have one. This is such a quick and easy update. I wallpapered 2 bookshelves in less than an hour. Hanging wallpaper in cabinets or bookshelves creates another domino effect because now you're going to want to rearrange the decor on those shelves. I always add the books and other large items first, staggering their location on each shelf. Then I add the smaller decorative objects. Remember to vary the heights and sizes of objects for the most interesting display, and leave some empty space for the eye to rest. Because I like a maximalist look, I don't leave as much negative space as some people do. Adding natural materials to your decor helps to create a peaceful and relaxing environment. Budget-friendly elements like branches, stones, and plants add depth and character to your space. I found this bird nest in my front door wreath when I recently went to switch it out. To kill bacteria and any potential bugs, put it in a plastic bag and freeze it for several days. I love ferns, but can never keep them alive indoors. So I bought this self-watering one called Wick and Grow from Lowe's. You put the water in the bottom of your container rather than directly watering the soil. I'll let you know how it goes. But just in case, I always keep a few pothos plants around because they are fairly indestructible. Every interior designer will tell you that paint is the best, most economical way to change a room. But sometimes we don't have the time or energy to repaint an entire room. So alternately, you could paint a piece of furniture or wood trim to refresh a space. I wanted to repaint my fireplace mantle, and I wanted to give it a hint of green. So I mixed some of the gray paint that I had previously used on the mantle with some of the olive green paint I had left over from painting the display cabinet in last week's video. I wish I hadn't removed the tape so soon because once the paint was dry, it didn't look nearly as green as I had expected, but at least it looks fresh and clean. Due to the irregularity of the bricks, when I peeled off the tape, there was some bleed through. So I just touched up those spots with the white paint I had left over from painting the bricks when we first moved into this house. I also decided to repaint the metal decor piece I was using as a fireplace screen. I first spray painted it black, but when I brought it inside, it seemed too dark next to the mantle. So I took it back outside and distressed it with sandpaper. But I wasn't loving that either. In fact, it might have been worse. So then I just gave it a coat of bronze spray paint. When the paint was dry, I thought it was looking a little flat, so I applied a coat of black wax to give it some dimension. I just brushed it on and dabbed off the excess with a paper towel. I do like the darker color for autumn and winter, and I'm already transitioning into fall decor. My oldest son, Nick, and his fiancée, Amaya, are getting married in November, so I decided to get a head start on my fall decorating. 90% of my fireplace decor was purchased at thrift stores, and this gorgeous oil painting was also thrifted for just a few dollars. I couldn't fit it on the mantle, so I just leaned it against the fire screen. Obviously, if we light a fire, I'll move it out of the way. New wall decor can instantly give your room a fresh, updated look. I think wall art should reflect our personality and interests. And since my interests are always evolving, so is my wall art. This area behind the sofa is the only large expanse of wall in my family room, so I'm frequently switching it out. I recently thrifted 4 vintage framed Currier and Ives prints, and I thought they would look perfect next to the green display cabinet. I used my level to draw vertical and horizontal pencil lines on the wall to make sure the quartet of pictures was lined up perfectly. I think this might be my favorite arrangement of all the things I've had on this wall. Although the prints are all winter scenes, you know I have other Currier and Ives prints, so I can switch them out in the spring. I think I want to swap out this large gray mirror in my foyer too. And due to all the recent rearranging, I know exactly what I want to put here. This piece of architectural salvage is actually the front panel from an antique piano that a friend gave me several years ago. I used some florist wire to attach a wreath and hung it on the existing screws by attaching 2 D-rings on the back side. I love that I can change out the wreath with the seasons. I currently have no curtains covering my patio doors because I do like having them uncovered in the summer, but they need curtains in the winter to help keep out the cold air and to make the space feel cozier. I had an old set of blue curtains that once hung in the family room that I wanted to use, but they were way too long. To quickly hem them, hang them, and then mark where the bottom of the curtain needs to be, I determined that my curtains were 6 inches too long. Then I cut off the existing hem, which made the curtains 3.5 inches too long. I folded the bottom of the curtain over 3.5 inches and pinned it in place. Using an iron, press over your hem, creating a crease. Remove the pins, then fold the cut edge of the fabric over about 1/4 inch and press it with your iron. You might think that ironing is an extra step that makes the process take longer, but actually it makes it go much faster. Next, you can fold the fabric back over at your original crease and pin it in place. Now stitch your hem along the top edge that you folded and ironed to the inside. To keep the patio doors mostly open for now, I pulled the drapes to one side and tied them back using the original hem piece that I had previously cut off. You know that I'm a huge proponent of using thrift store finds in your home decor. They're not only cost-effective, but they add character and charm and give your home a unique and distinctive style. I had no idea how I would use this glass jewelry box when I thrifted it, but now I realize it is the perfect way to display some more natural elements from my yard. When I thrifted this round wood table, I had hoped to use it next to the blue chairs in the family room, but I ended up moving it to the library in place of a coffee table. It needed some large decor, so I also thrifted this tall wicker vase and added some faux stems that I already had. I just put some empty plastic bags in the bottom of the vase to adjust the stems to the height I liked. Then I arranged an open book of beautiful Currier and Ives prints on the table. This was a lovely gift from a very sweet viewer. Changing out your textiles is a quick and easy way to refresh your home's look and feel. I like to use darker colors and heavier textures for fall and winter. I also like to mix in lots of velvet. You can keep it budget friendly by sewing your own pillows or buying inexpensive pillow covers from IKEA or Hobby Lobby. You can also find some nice textiles at the thrift store. Just be sure to run them through the washer and dryer first. If you have an empty, boring spot somewhere in your house, even a small space, think about adding something in that spot that will make you smile. I found this shelf or plate rack at Goodwill and thought it was just what I needed for the side of my refrigerator. I used a level and a piece of tape to mark the space between the two holes at the top of the shelf. Since the shelf is half in the kitchen and half in the library, I filled it with both thrifted china and books. It's surprising how often I pass by this shelf now, and it does in fact make me smile. Although it's fun to find something new at the thrift store that works perfectly in our homes, sometimes we just need to improve on things we already own. I had previously thrifted and painted this little table for my front living room, but when I was rearranging furniture, I decided to move it into the library. A few viewers had suggested that I add a dark wax to this table to tone down the red a bit, and I thought that was a great idea. So I finally got around to applying my favorite Jolie black wax. I had previously changed out the handles on these drawers during my industrial farmhouse phase, but now I wanted something new. I bought some cute knobs at Hobby Lobby that were on sale for just $2 each. To make them work, I needed to patch the old holes with wood putty. Once your putty is dry, sand the drawer fronts smooth and then mark the center or the location where you want to place the new knobs and drill a hole. Repaint your drawer fronts. I used spray paint for a quick and easy fix. My drawer fronts are extra thick, so the screws on my Hobby Lobby knobs were not quite long enough. So I used a countersink drill bit in the drilled hole on the inside of the drawer. This creates a conical recess so the nut can reach the screw. Maybe a decor piece doesn't need a major or even minor overhaul. Maybe it just needs a little embellishment so it really shines. My family room lampshades are just fine, but who wants just fine when you can have something special for the price of a roll of ribbon? I bought 4 rolls of green velvet ribbon on sale at Hobby Lobby for $1.20 per roll. When hot gluing trim on a lampshade, glue long strips at a time, you actually get a straighter application than if you glue in small sections. I feel like light switch plate covers are the jewelry in a room, and I can't believe I've been living with this mirror light cover, especially when I have 2 thrifted covers that are so much better. I'm going with the gold one, which looks better with the gray wall paint. I just needed to touch up the silver screws with a bit of gold rub-and buff. But you can also buy individual replacement screws in a variety of colors at Ace Hardware. I hope you found some inspiration in today's video, because we all deserve a home we love on a budget we can afford. Thank you so much for watching. And if you'd like some additional ideas on updating and refreshing your bedroom, I think you might enjoy these videos.